Hey, how's everybody doing today? About a year ago, I bought a Scott Atwater 16 horse, and the coils were bad. And I've been trying to find some. If I find them, they're real expensive, or they're the wrong size, or the laminates are wrong, or something. Well, I also like to collect some old Martin motors. I tore into this one. That's pretty much junk, but I thought I would tear it down and salvage all the parts I could. When I got the flywheel off, I started looking at the coil, and it's got the 5/8 thick laminates. That's 5/8. Also, this is a used mag plate that I bought, and I started messing around with some coils from these are aftermarket coils for Cushman scooter. And the points on a Scott Atwater are the same. And this one was busted. I paid $100 for this, and it's junk. But anyway, I started looking at it, and the points are the same. The coils setup is pretty much the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these coils off of here because they're beautiful. They're just reminds me of a piece of gold. And if you're trying to fix an outboard and these work, this will be gold to me. But we're going to take these off of here, but we're going to bend these tabs up real careful and slide those coils off, but we got to get all these wires off first. I've already taken pictures of how the wiring is, because I don't have any, well, just to be honest with you, I don't have any experience with the Scott Atwater. So we're gonna take these off, other than the Firestone motors that I've got, but I've never had to do any ignition because everything, I always say, I got sparked by just cleaning the points and checking the gap. Coils are always good on them. We're going to get all this stuff off of here. What do we got to lose, right? This motor was, I think I gave somebody $20 for it. And if these coils do in fact work, that's cheap. I'm going to be very careful with all this stuff. There's a ground wire down here. I let that loose first. Yeah, on an OMC, the ground comes out of the coil, well, the secondary wire, but you ground it to the screw that holds the coil down, the laminate. This one is grounding down at the screw where the condenser is. Doesn't matter, it's all touching anyway. Okay, now we'll take the screw out of the top of the coil. Wow. That thing hooks right to the, I want to put that screw back in. That screw in the top of the coil is actually part of the points. So I'm going to put the screw back in to hold it still while I try to take that off of there. sometimes we're kind of on our own on this stuff. This company, both of these companies have been gone for a long time. There's literature out there somewhere, but I don't have it. Chipmunks are grooving. You can hear them chirping. Wow. Look at that. This piece here is actually part of the contact set. Same company, the WICO electric company. I think later on they became Presto Light. I see both names on a lot of my Chrysler motors on the same, like let's say the flywheel or something. Okay, let's see if that will come off yet. I turned some of the lights down because there was too much glare right on the camera. I gotta find my cutters. I just had them last night. I was doing a much more familiar ignition system on a 15 horse Evinrude. Can't find the ones I want, so I'll use these. Just gonna clip that out of the way. The good thing about these coils, looks like the spike wires are just wrapped, they're not soldered. I've seen different guys do this thing here, but I've always been worried about soldering spark plug wire on there and end up harming the coil because I got it too hot or something. Or get it so hot that the eyelet melts out of the coil. Then you're in trouble there too. I experimented on some parts that I wasn't planning on using. They weren't any good, so I did a little bit of experimental soldering. It was not very successful, but neither one of these are soldered, and I believe they're original coils because they have a part number also, 5460 WICO. Well, this should lift right out of here. Okay, there's pins, I see. There's two pins that locate the proper position. I was wondering how I was going to get my coil spacing correct. Well, if you look here on the bottom of the mag plate itself, there are locating pins, one here and one here. So these coils don't have an air gap adjustment for this motor. Yeah, this is what I was saying here. This is not, these spark wires, they were just wrapped. They were not soldered. Okay, now the next step we have to do, I would just take this whole thing and put it on the Scott Atwater, but I'll show you why I can't. They're totally different. Before I go too far, I'm going to test this coil, but see, they're different. These have, this is the Scott Atwater laminate. It's actually, and it's got pretty much equal shaped, equidistant, equal shaped laminates. Now this one has one on this side, but the other side is completely different than this one. So after I get these all off of here, I have to take the Scott Atwater flywheel off, slide these coils on along with all this ignition, the points and condensers. So normally, let's see, I got a OMC coil I'll show you. On an OMC coil, you have 2 leads coming out of the coil, here and here, and then you have the spark plug port, I'll call it. Now on the Martin coil or a Scott Atwater coil, you don't have that port, you just have an eyelet. So when we test this one, we're going to put one test lead here and one on the other. Well, if you were testing this coil, which I've already done and it's bad, I got it marked, I put one test lead here and one in there. Okay. This is a good coil. I don't know if that's reading backwards for you or not. It shows backwards when I'm looking at it. 3.9, and I got it set on 200,000. Now when I go and test between the other leads, I have to put the scale down on 2,000. I have to put it down on the 2,000 scale, but when I test the spark lead, it has to be up higher, 200,000. Let's test that again. Now we're on the insulated lead on the WICO coil, and we're going to go to the eyelet where the spark plug wire goes. This coil is testing good, 3.9. Okay, now we're going to run the scale down to 2,000 instead of 200, I'm sorry. Now we're going to test in between them. It's testing good. 0.9. Alright, so we got one good coil. Hopefully, once we bend this tab off of here, actually this tab, maybe it's been replaced once, because this tab has some tool marks on it. Where it looks like someone pressed it on there. But this coil has no cracks in it. It looks like it's wrapped in, like, I don't know, leather or who knows what. And then like coated with some sort of lacquer, shellac. I don't even know what it's coated with. But this is a good coil, so I'm going to tag it. I get these tags on Amazon. They got wire. And then we'll put a label on it explaining that it's good. And 0.9 the other one. This is gonna be a two-part video, but okay, so we got that one. Now we'll take the other one off. Now do the same thing. I got to take the this screw loose, so we don't want to loosen it up yet. Take the top screw. Oh. Be careful that I'm not putting any strain on the top of that condenser tower there. I'm going to put that, well, after I get it out of there, I want to put that screw back in there. It's pretty simple. The black wire with the insulation goes up here on the top of the condenser, and the bare wire with the without insulation goes on the screw holding the condenser down. Now we're going to take that screw I just mentioned, the ground, that's going to ground, and we got to take that lead off of there. Now we should be able to, oh, I got to cut the wire. Wish I could find my other cutters. Where did I put them? I just had them here last night. I was out here till all hours of the night. Also, I ran to Tawas. That's just, it's a little bit bigger town, 20 or so miles north of Augrey, and I bought a box of spark plug wires, universal design. You get 6 wires with the boots already on and the connector inside. You get 6 of them, and then also you get the condenser, or excuse me, the distributor wire is also in the box. And if you go up to the part store, you can buy a boot and a clip cut this part off, and that ends up being about 22 inches long. So you get 7 spark plug wires with that you can use. I think they were $35. You don't have to go and buy the boots and connect all that, put it all together. It's just my way of doing it. Let's see if I can get the spark wire off of there first. Driving me crazy where I put my cutter, so I cut off the end. Then I'm going to have to pull that through. Sure, they're right in front of my face. Anyway, as soon as I shut the camera off, they're going to jump right up. Oh, probably help if I take the screws out of the laminates holding them down. When you test coils, you got to have everything unhooked. You can't test them when they're grounded out and connected to the points. You have to have all those wires disconnected. You don't have to take them off like I did, but you have to have the wires unhooked and isolated from incidentally touching the ground. Okay. We want to be gentle with all this, so you don't want to get that eyelet busted loose. And just unwrapped it and popped her off of there. Okay, let's test that one. I'm going to the spark plug lead, so I gotta turn it back up to 200,000. Numbers are a little higher, but it's still within the range from everybody. That's 5.1. It was going up and down. It was 4.8, 4.9. It's just the wiggling on the changes when they're wiggling around. That's 5.1. So that side's good. Now we got to turn it down to the 200 scale. This is on your the ohms. I don't know what kind of tester you might have, but most every tester should have ohms. We're going to test between those two. .9, same as the other one. So this tested a little higher on the spark plug side. but it's still within the range. .1. Now it's going to 4.9. 5.1 is changing a little bit. For the most part, it's reading good. All right, so now we'll throw another tag on this one. I just had that box of tags. They're there. We'll tag this one just so we know, because I got a lot of stuff around here. Some of it looks the same. Okay, next up, slowly bend this tab up. I watched a guy from, I think he's from Canada, do this on an old Elgin. And it worked for him on the Elgin that he was doing. Rust Rehab, I think, was his channel. Getting this coil off without damaging it. That's what we gotta do carefully. Maybe I'll take you over to the vise. I don't know if I can find a way to get this camera to sit down without tipping over. Okay, it moved. That was sticking out considerably more, probably about 1/8 of an inch or better. Just gotta carefully, ooh, one thing else I gotta do. I gotta lift this hold down clamp that's built right into the laminate. I gotta lift that up so the wires can move with the coil. Almost goofed that up. You see that built-in clamp there? I'm using a front face camera, so everything's kind of backwards. Oh, it moved pretty good just by hand. it's coming. Whew. The corner of that vise is kind of sharp. I'll have to reset them tags. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. I'm going to be putting them on right away. They're coming. Getting it. I just don't want to use anything to pry against it with. I don't want to destroy it. I'm really take my time. Oh man, she's moving, but wow. Coming. It's coming out. Oh, wow. Not quite halfway out. Let's see. What else could I use? Something soft. Soft enough. Just gonna have to keep pulling on it. I don't want to ruin it. Now she's moving. Oh. There was a shim in there. I just heard it drop. That's how you get a coil off. I'm gonna see if I can't find it. There it is. It's a shim. Looks like some sort of a first type of plastic that we've had. Melamine or something. All right. Got one off. Now, I don't know if you can test them when they're not on the laminates. I don't know if the laminate has anything to do with anything as far as being able to test them. I don't know. We'll see. It's still the same number. So we didn't ruin it. That's up a... When I move it around a little bit, I was getting... It just changed to... Yep, I'd say that's it. We did not ruin it. It's still showing up good. I'm going to put it down at 200 and check between these leads. 0.9. Okay. All right, well, that's how you salvage or harvest a coil. Now I got to get another one off, and you guys don't need to be bored with all that. Thanks for watching. I hope this helps you.